In this video, I'm going to show you 3 ways to purge your mind of negative thought forms. This is something a lot of people don't know about, they may not be aware of, but nonetheless, it's so important that you do. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron, and I help people expand their consciousness. Now, right now, I am in South Beach in Florida. I'm here for 2 or 3 days, then I go up to a Tony Robbins event with my buddy Victor Oddo, and I thought I would come out here and make this video right now, specifically on something I was thinking about last night, because I've become more and more aware of the esoteric side of reality. And part of that esoteric side of reality is understanding that there are thought forms that we attach to, but sometimes are not aware of. Now, what I mean by this is there are some, especially back in the 1900s, early 1900s, there were some esoteric thought leaders that were mentioning this. But as time goes on, we've become more and more aware that these thought forms are something that exists. A thought form, think of it like when we are thinking of certain thoughts, we are emitting it out of our head, or out of our, we have a whole energy field around our body. Now what happens is these thought forms, depending on the different intention, will have a different kind of form. And what happens is, as that goes out into physical reality, we walk around and we may actually be absorbing people's thought forms. So as you look around right now, you can't physically see. These are things, thought forms you don't necessarily always see, but they are nonetheless, they may be in someone's auric field, maybe somebody's feeling a lot of resistance, or maybe someone has a certain level of addiction. And from that, what happens is it causes a certain energy pattern to emit out, and sometimes people will walk around and actually absorb other people's thought forms. Now, the thing is you can only absorb someone's thought form if you are in resonance with it, or you are unaware of it and in a negative state. So your state of being has a very powerful impact on whether you absorb thought forms. Now, the thing I want to share with you about, though, is how to purge those thought forms out of your mind. Understanding that at a certain point in your past, you may have started to absorb those, attached to them, but nonetheless, it's time to let it go. And with manifestation in general, you need to purge negative thought forms if you want to create what you want in your life, if you want to feel higher vibrational emotion. Forget even manifestation. If you want to raise your vibration, you have to purge out these thought forms. So the first one to this that I want to share is going to be quite obvious, but nonetheless, it's one that as I began to do, it changed so much for me. And it was simply learning to meditate and observe my thoughts. So the first way to purge out toxic thought forms is to observe your thoughts, to become aware of them, and then to, in a way, this is what happened with me. I became aware of my thoughts, and at the time when I learned meditation, I was smoking weed every day, because I took Adderall during the day, which is the prescription drug they give for people that have quote-unquote ADHD. And what I did is I took that in the morning, and then at nighttime I'd go home, and since I had a hard time eating and sleeping, what I would do is I would smoke weed. Now, what I did is I did that for like a year straight. Then I learned meditation, which had no side effects, and that's kind of what also pushed me to learn more about other alternatives than needing like something like Adderall. Was then what I did is I learned meditation, which had zero side effect, negative side effects at least. And what happened was I then became aware, I raised my vibration, I felt like I no longer needed to smoke weed. So this is what happened. I became aware in meditation of how that was affecting my energy field. It was slowing down my energy field. And I was somebody, by the way, that talking about smoking weed, I'd be like, I didn't want to hear it because I enjoyed it, and it was something that I guess I had a lot of resistance. I wouldn't even let it in my consciousness that there could be anything bad with it. That was me. And then I became aware in meditation, though, that it was slowing down my energy. That my manifestations weren't as powerful. My energy wasn't as powerful because of the effect that it had on my energy field. So I decided to quit smoking weed. Now, this is an interesting thing that happened when I made that choice. First off, I remember making that choice. And what I did is, I kind of want to share this. The first one is I'm going to share the story, but the first part is meditating and then taking inventory of the things that affect your thought processes in a certain way and letting go of what doesn't serve. So for the story for me is what happened is I bought this new bong, which is like this thing that you use to smoke. And when I bought it, I have friends that own a smoke shop. So I got like a really nice one. And I remember that even though I got it, and I spent quite a bit, it was like $200 or $300, so it wasn't cheap. And I remember bringing it home, and then what happened is I knew that I shouldn't have bought it. I knew that I was pretty much done smoking, especially as much as I was. Nonetheless, I bought it, so for some reason I did. And I remember I took one hit out of it, and in that moment, I knew that that was the last hit I was ever gonna take. This is back in 2012. So, in that moment that I made that choice, something very profound to me happened. I immediately started bawling my eyes out, crying. And I had this experience of feeling how I made everyone else feel when I was smoking. And just to give you context, I had an ex-girlfriend that didn't like that I smoked. She drank, and I justified it with, oh, I can smoke, but in her mind it was totally different things, and there was a lot of that was a good part of why we started to really distance from each other before we broke up. There were other reasons, but that was one of them. And then I felt how I felt anytime I would smoke and then go over to my dad's house and hang out with my sisters. Even though I never would bring it over there, I would do it and then go over there. And I remember seeing this picture of me with them, and we're all happy, but I'm just pissed out of my mind. I was just so high. And it was like this, I just had this flash of these different memories of how I made other people feel. And what happened is in that moment I knew that I would never smoke again. But then for 3 or 4 weeks after that, because I smoked for a year, I was throwing up this yellow mucus. Now I know this sounds disgusting. I was throwing up this yellow mucus that I knew was a reflection of that emotional pain and the numbiness that I used for so long. So in a way, I was purging out a physical manifestation of those negative thought forms, of the numbing that I was going through for such a period of time. So that to me I always remembered. And then I'll share something else with you too. Recently I did something called Kambo. Okay, I want to show you right here. Kambo is actually legal. This is going to sound very weird to certain people. Can you see it? Let me see. Where is it? Where is it? Can you see that right there? There's 4 little dots somewhere. Anyways, it's kind of gone now. It's been a couple weeks. I did something called Kambo. Maybe what I'll do is I'll walk, because there's this guy that's doing this. One sec. I'm going to put this down for a sec. Let me see. I'm going to walk this way, I think. So, what was I talking about? Oh, so Kambo. So what I did is, Kambo is legal, actually. It is intense, though. Kambo, what it is it's a plant medicine. It's actually not a plant medicine. It's the poison from a poisonous frog. It's the venom. And what they do is they scrape off the venom. It doesn't hurt the frog at all. It doesn't kill the frog. And what they do is they burn 4 little holes, and then they put this frog venom on. And for about 10 or 15 minutes, it's extraordinarily intense. It's not psychedelic at all, but what you do is you purge out things, you purge out emotion, you set intentions, and it works with you. And it's very interesting, because I've heard of people of doing it, but I was like, no, I'll never do that. It sounds so crazy and intense. Nonetheless, I did it when I was in Tulum. Lior and I were in Tulum a couple weeks ago, and it was before we were doing ayahuasca. And they say to do Kambo before ayahuasca is good, because you purge out a lot, and then when you do ayahuasca, you don't have to purge so much. So I was like, okay. So what I did is we did the Kambo, and what they do is they burn the 4 holes, they put the Kambo on, and then it's very intense, and you're feeling this energy, and then you just start throwing up, and you throw up emotions that weren't processed, you throw up things you want to let go of. And that same yellow mucus came out, and I was letting go of some of the childhood stuff that I went through, and it was like, there's still deeply lodged in there. It's considered bile, but nonetheless, that I let go of, and it reminded me of that time that I also quit smoking weed, because for weeks I threw up that bile. And what they do is you continue. They give you sit in a chair. They burn, and then there were 2 Kambo shaman, I don't know what you call them necessarily, and then what they do is you drink a whole bunch of water. You drink so much water, and then they burn it, they do it, and within minutes you're just like, blah, blah, and then they keep giving you water to drink in between. It's like water's the last thing you want to drink, but nonetheless you purge out so much, and you feel so light afterwards. And it's a way of physically letting go of things that have maybe been held onto energetically. But nonetheless, that's the first one. It's meditating and becoming aware of what to let go of. And also that was just kind of a way for me to share my Kambo story, because I was like, people have been wanting me to share it, but I'm not gonna make a video on just Kambo. But that was a way of showing like toxic thoughts, toxic energy stored in the body. That's how you begin to let it go. Now, so that's the first way that you can let go and purge your mind of toxic thought forms. Okay, now the second one I think is actually very similar to the first one in some ways, but it's to do an actual fast, to do some type of fast. I would highly recommend some type of like detox or fast, one of the twos. Now sometimes what I do for a fast is I'll do like a water fast for 3 days, or I'll do like a 1 or 2 day dry fast with no water and no food. And what that does is it gives your body a chance to reset. Now understand this too, a lot of people don't know this, but when you eat food, there is certain energy that's been in the food. Think about the food you're eating. Think about the people that are dealing with your food. Think about what the chef may be thinking about who made your food, and if they were worried about their marriage or something, that uncertainty, that negative energy may have actually gone inside of your food while they're cooking it, and then here you are eating that emotion and you don't even know it. This is why it's important to sometimes cook your own food and be aware of what energy is going into your food, and if you do it yourself, you then have more energy over it. However, to fast or to do some type of detox can be very powerful, because then you give your body a chance to reset. So this is something that I do probably once every 2 or 3 months. I'll do some type of fast. Something else I recommend as well is not the most pleasant, but it's an enema. If you were to do some type of enema, which is, you can look that up to kind of find out what that is, but an enema also you'll release energy that's been stored inside of your body that hasn't been released in a long time. And that's a powerful way of detoxing and letting go of the negative thought forms. Now understand, your food, what you eat, affects your mind. The information that you consume affects your mind. So this is about having some type of purging, has to do with it being brought up. And for it to be brought up, what you may do is you may abstain from certain types of food, maybe eat very nutrient-rich foods, and then what happens is, because there's a lack of stimulation, maybe eat very non-stimulating foods. I noticed that, and I start to appreciate food more when I do that. I've been eating out for 2 months straight traveling. I'm now in Miami. After this I go to Vegas. I'm gonna eat very simple foods when I get back, because I've been eating such stimulating foods for a while, and I feel like my body needs a rest. But one way of purging out your negative toxic thought forms is by changing your diet and doing some type of fast. Some type of fast and letting it go. The last thing I want to share with you is something that I found to be extraordinarily powerful as well. When I was at Rhythmia a couple weeks ago, doing plant medicine for 4 nights, I wasn't in my phone hardly ever. And I noticed that by not being in my phone, let me tell you, I'm not trying to laugh about this, but I do social media for a living. So sometimes I'll have like 4 hour, 30 minutes, 5 hours of screen time per day doing, so not always the most productive things, but that's like, I know that that's toxic. So something I'm doing for myself is abstaining from social media as much. Going in, doing what I gotta do, you know, I gotta post and stuff like that, but then not like staying in there. I noticed that by purging myself and abstaining from social media and immersing myself in seeing so much social media, my vibration increased and I wasn't so attached to reaction mode, you see. So the key to this is really taking a break from certain things. Take a break from maybe certain habits you have. Take a break from maybe being in social media, from maybe stimulating foods, and watch how much more clarity you have. All of those things affect your mind. So when you choose to do things that are more about becoming more clear within yourself, you'll find that you have more clarity and you find that you then feel better. So something else as well that I have for this that will help you is helping to clear out your energetic thought forms. There's a process called Ho'oponopono, which is one of the most powerful healing processes I've ever found for clearing out the energetic field. I have a video below. Listen to it, meditation. You can just listen to it in the background. Listen to it for 21 days and watch how your life begins to change. That will change your energy form, your thought forms. That will help you purge negative thought forms more than anything else I've ever found. I've used that towards my past. I've used that towards my current life right now, like the way my current life, as if it's past life, maybe, I don't know. But all in all, use Ho'oponopono, listen for 21 days, it will change your life. So with that being said, hope you enjoyed this video. Peace, much love, and namaste.